Merry Christmas. That's right, folks. At Oscar Mike Radio, it is Merry Christmas. And today is December 23rd, 2021, 2 days before Christmas. And I hope your preparations and travel plans are all set, and that more importantly, you enjoy this family and time together. I'm Travis, the host of Oscar Mike Radio. Oscar Mike Radio is part of the Hoobazoo Network. You can find out more on hoobazoo.com. So what do you talk about for Christmas? Well, I've done some things and thought about it, and I remembered from history that our first president, before he was president, George Washington, did something crazy on Christmas. And I want to talk about it real briefly with you and, kind of get you in a independent sort of mindset. So let me set the stage here. The Revolutionary War was not going well. The history books show us that, and some people considered George Washington an ineffectual general. He had problems with spies, he had problems with supplies, he had problems with money, all the things you're not supposed to have problems with before you do something like this, he had. And it was getting desperate. The thought was from people who, at the time, and historians, that, the Revolutionary War was all but over for us. And so back in, the day, he starts planning a last-ditch Hail Mary, empty the tank kind of thing, where he wanted to cross the Delaware River. Did I get that right? And take it to the enemy, which in some instances is really smart. If you study the game of Go or other types of offensive defensive concepts, you want to attack when your enemy is not expecting it or when they're at their weakest. You don't want to attack them at their strongest point. Napoleon did that. Other generals have done that. And so the idea was, he thought if he could make this attack work and really drive a stake through the heart of the British forces, it would begin a rally and stop, the British from moving any further. They had taken Rhode Island, they had taken several other strategic points, and were, augmented by the Hessians, and that's who General Washington was trying to take out or capture, because the Hessians were fearsome warriors. I mean, they were brought over here for that reason. So think about it. It's Christmas time. Today I'm finishing up wrapping stuff. I'm listening to Mistress Carrie's podcast you should check out. I'm listening to some Mannheim Steamroller. I'm sitting here, having a great time, but back in 1776, plans were being made to cross the Delaware River on Christmas Day to do this. And the reason Christmas Day was chosen is it was well known that the British troops and their auxiliaries would be resting or recovering from the Christmas festivities. So his idea was, if he could, do this attack then and take it to them then, he'd have a really good chance of making this work. And, think about this. I mean, I don't think we'd ever do this now, or anything similar to it. I mean, we have satellites, we have long-range reconnaissance airplanes, we have, scouting. We have ships that can fire shells 20, 30 miles. We have artillery that can reach out and touch you, mortars, Amtraks, hovercraft, you name it. think about, getting, all these people into boats and crossing a river that's like a mile and a half wide. The Delaware River is not a small river. To carry out this attack on Christmas, hoping you can cross the river with nobody seeing you, hoping no spy has tipped off the British to do this. And at the end of the day, there was three, figureheads doing this, and George Washington's, set of guys were the only guys that made it over there to do this. And they captured like 1,000 Hessians and really turned things on their head. All of a sudden, his troops were playing offense and able to impose their will, and the British were caught completely off guard. And it's often credited that that moment changed the Revolutionary War as we knew it. And I just think that's, there's an American Christmas and European Christmas and other Christmases throughout the world. But I can't think of anything more American than telling your guys, hey, fall in. We're getting ready to cross this river on Christmas Day and kick some British butt. Are you in? I mean, this is what I'm thinking about. I'm like, our forefathers were absolutely nuts. Absolutely crazy. Or driven or something. I can't quantify that. I don't know if, because first of all, it's cold up here in the Northeast. It's not like, in Lake Havasu in Arizona where, the water is fantastic, or Miami. And it was raining and drizzling and turned to a full, storm while they're trying to cross it in boats with oars and paddles and stuff. There was no motor. Nothing like that. No night vision goggles, no, satellite overlay, nothing. And these guys wanted some payback. These guys wanted to make this happen, and they got to it. They got to it. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So they're doing this, and I'm just reading about this, and this is absolutely unbelievable. He crossed, captured nearly, 1,000 Hessians, and returned to Pennsylvania on the 26th. And when they did this, it spearheaded this whole thing where, it revived the spirits of the Continental Army, and it also showed people that, hey, we can stand up to the British bully. We can sock them in the nose and drive them back. We've got this. We're going to do this. And I've spent Christmas in the military. I've gotten to go home on Christmas, and I've gotten to stay in the barracks at Christmas. And honestly, my biggest concern when I was in the barracks at Christmas was avoiding the duty NCO so they couldn't find any stupid stuff for me to do, while making sure I raided the chow hall for any extra bag nasties or, cookies that were laying about. That's pretty much it. Could I have gone somewhere? Yeah, sure. But, I kind of wanted to be by myself, and that was cool. But I can't imagine a scenario where, my platoon sergeant, Gunny Botwell, or, the first sergeant Garcia, or, any of the lieutenants would come to the barracks and say, hey, get your gear out, get your gear on, load up the trucks. We're getting ready to go, get Charlie. I wouldn't know what to do, right? And so not only did, George Washington come up with this plan and figured out how to do it, he also had people behind him to help them execute this plan and bought completely in. And I just think that's amazing. I just think that's, really amazing when you think about it and you think about all the things that Christmas means to people. And, yeah, it's an iconic photo there. I got there on the side there that you can see, right? By the same token, do we really associate that with Christmas? And maybe that crossing the Delaware was the ultimate Christmas present ever. I don't know. You let me know. But, didn't want to, drag this out because I know you're shopping and some people are baking and prepping food to make and, everything else like that. But I did want to, leave that in your mind if you're watching this. Like, that attack spawned the true birth of our country, or the rebirth to, make this country our own. Isn't that the ultimate Christmas present? I don't know. You let me know. In the meantime, I got one more show coming up for this year. Kind of going to recap everything that's kind of happened over the course of this year and some of the things going on for next year. And then January starts off with a bang. So you don't want to miss it. And for everybody who has supported me and listened to me and bought the Oscar Mike Radio merchandise and given it as gifts this year, I just want to say thank you very much. And again, I hope with all the COVID-19 stuff and the other unrest in the world that you and yours are having a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.